Be sure to subscribe and like our channel.
Welcome. You're on Queen City Curio Videocast, Deeper Down the Rabbit Hole podcast, here live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Toronto. Where's the store, sir?
607 Gerrard Street East in East Chinatown, Toronto. So, how was that? That was good radio voice there.
That was good. So what we got coming up?
Well, tomorrow we're doing a figurine candle workshop where, unlike the first figurine candle workshop where Zach was trying to be a little overly nice, showing you how to work figurine candles to help people heal themselves. This is straight up a love magic class. And I'm going to be teaching that, the actual, like how to get figurine candles to work with male to male, male to female, female to female, whatever you desire, pulling people together. In either love or just, if you just want straight lust, that's what we'll show you how to do both.
Whatever you want.
And this is a class for sponsors. So if you're a sponsor, you should come down to the physical store because it's a workshop. You're going to put stuff together. We're going to pull out the tables. We're going to pull out the tables and then let you kind of do that straight up there. But it also can be interesting because the way we're going to teach it, you can also use it to connect in a business sense. So it doesn't just have to be sex and lust. It could be, sort of just connecting in a way. Really, business relationships are closer to marriages than people would ever like to believe. So, like if you want to connect to a business partner too, it can also be there. So it can be used in more ways than traditional, but yeah, we're going to teach you straight up. Have the herbs, we're going to have the candles, we're going to actually do it. It's part of the workshop tomorrow. So if you're feeling a little lonely, I'll show you how to do it. We got you. It's spring. It's time for mating up and hooking up, right? So that's how spring grows. Be like the rabbit and come deeper down the rabbit hole. See, made a rabbit reference and be here tomorrow. If you're a sponsor, thank you for keeping the lights on. That's the kind of workshops we do. We do all kinds of stuff, all kinds of different workshops every 2 weeks, and a ritual every 2 weeks. So that's what the sponsors get. So that's what's coming up.
Fun times. So sponsors, you know where it's at. If you are wanting to become a sponsor, we'll give you the page later on. However, you can go to QueenCityCurioandApothecaryVideoCast.ca and you'll see our members page where you can sign up right away. So today we have Elhoim Leafar, the urban shaman. He is a tarotist, dowser, magician who hails from a family of magical practitioners from Amazonia, Venezuela. With over 20 years of practice, he is a practitioner initiated in different paths of sorcery, including Esperanto, totally butchered that, I know it, Veslano, Cambodole, and Lukumi and Santeria. So welcome to the show.
Hi, good night, everyone. Thanks for inviting me.
We're glad to have you.
Absolutely. So today we're talking about charms with your book here. Right, the magical art of crafting and charm bag. So what got you inspired to write this book?
Culture, essentially. I come from Venezuela in 2015. I arrived in that moment here in New York City. And the thing with charm bags is that it's some way of underrated magic that we really love in our culture. When you come from a different culture that you are out of the United States, where everything is a little more centered, and everything is like a bit more commercialized in some way. Everything have like, you expect that everything magical is like bigger. Like you need to have a very big space to craft anything. You need to have all the books. You need to have all the recipes and everything else. You miss a little bit the essence of the magic. And when you come from a different culture and you're an immigrant, you start appreciating things from your original country, from your land. For example, if you come from an Italian background, from an Asian background, from an African background, or from a Romani background, in the moment that you arrive in a different land, whatever you do that keeps you bonded to your culture, for you is magical. Every amulet, every piece of knowledge that you have with you, like, oh, I remember this coin, that for someone is just a coin. For me, this represents the coin that my grandma was carrying the day of her wedding. and this for her was a very powerful amulet, which symbolized love, family, protection, and she gives this to me, so I can use this little coin to put in my altar to bring that kind of feeling, to bring protection, to bring that family kindness. Is very powerful when you are trying to bond with your own culture. The thing with the charm bags particularly is that charm bags, well, how I try to explain it to Americans, is like the gumbo in New Orleans. You know, it's a whole culture about the gumbo. It's not something that you go and buy in the market. You need to someone, you need to go to the place and they prepare the gumbo with whatever they have in the moment, because they have a whole of history and culture, especially Black culture, related with the history of the gumbo, right? With the charm bags, it's exactly the same. You carry everything that you have around, related with some kind of energy, earths, crystals, powders, something that you can put together, 2 or 3 elements, and you put them together if they have some kind of similar energy. You don't need to have a big space, a big altar with a lot of candles and incense. You can just have 2 or 3 elements. You can take your flannel, you can cut all flannel and use it for the bag and put everything inside. And you can take, for example, if you are looking for something for protection and you don't have the money to go to the market and buy all of these ingredients, you can use garlic that you have growing in a pot, or you can use the onions that you have in the patio, or you can visit any garden very close to your home, any patio, any park, and catch some herbs for protection in there, some, I don't know, sage, which is culturally compromised here in the United States, but you can use different herbs that you can find around, put them together, 3 or 4 elements, and you put in a little piece of flannel, and you just thread all of that together, and you just put your praise and your energy there, and you just carry this amulet with you. You don't need to have a very big thing. Now, if you are an all-time practitioner, and you have a big altar, and you have the space to craft all your amulets and all your stuff, you can do it bigger if you want. I mean, it's not a structure to have it. And when I arrived in the United States, one of the things that I bring with me in my very small suitcase with a lot of charm bags in there, and the diary with the recipes of grandma. And I start translating for my English classes, because they ask you, okay, you need to have a book that you have memorized and translate that book, so you will have this like reaction, how your brain is translating the information from your original language to the new one, and related with something that you have in your memories. If your favorite book is a novel, you can translate that novel, and you will have a better understanding of the new language that you are trying to learn. I read many times this diary of grandma, so I just try to, okay, let me translate all of these recipes, will be something fun. And while I translated all of this, I was at the same time writing the book. And I put together recipes from my grandma, recipes from mom, recipes from my uncle, from my dad, for everybody at home. I put all of this together, I asked for the permission, and I crafted the whole book. Was a beautiful moment, because I was arriving here like an immigrant in 2015, and I signed the contract in 2016, immediately arriving in the United States. And I say that I have very good fortune for that, because when you are new here and you don't have lawyers, you don't have money, you don't have contacts, and you are signing a contract with a publisher 6 months later, that is a very good look that you have. And I put all of this practice together in the book. I have the opportunity, the chance to grow up in a family without so much money. That for me was a very big chance, because we, for example, don't travel in airplanes, we travel for land everywhere. So I had the opportunity to visit every place, every tribe, every city. I don't take the fast way to travel. So in that way, I had the opportunity to learn in different places from different people. And I put in the book, for example, recipes that I carry from Argentina, from Colombia, from Brazil, from Amazonas, from Venezuela. I put all of this together in the book, all of these recipes. For example, some herbs like mugwort, that here in the United States just related with divination. In Venezuela, mugwort is like some kind of sacred plant. Mugwort is in Venezuela what is white sage here in the United States. And we have a lot of folklore around mugwort. So I put all of this information from the Brazilian culture, from the Venezuelan perspective. I had the recipes in Portuguese and in Spanish, some recipes in French, and I translate all of this to English, and I put together in the book. And for me, it was important to have the chance to give a whole, well-made, curated translation for the public. Like, for example, sage, that is a very complicated topic to talk here in North America. Every time that we talk about sage, we generalize, like, in sacred you can burn it. No, you are ignoring the whole, you are erasing years of culture in there. It's sacred in North America, but in South America it's entirely different. For us, white sage is not sacred, it's another plant that we have in there. So what I do was put white sage in the book, why we use white sage in my land, in Venezuela, in Brazil, but I don't use it here personally in my practice because I try to respect the spirit of the land. I am in a borrowed land, this is not a place, so I don't go to break the rules here. So I know that the spirit don't want me to work with it. I don't go to work with white sage because this is your land, this is your plant, I don't go to use that. But for general knowledge, this is why we use it in my culture. I try to put all of that together, and that was the result of the book. I put, for example, recipes for fertility, for relationships. I have the opportunity to work with this woman in Argentina called Diana Pera. She's some kind of astrology, new age worker who do a lot of healing work. And she was carrying some kind of troubles with a patient, a kind of her who have, they do this alignment of chakras and these kind of things. And I say, okay, I don't know too much about that culture, but we have these energetical points in our culture, in our magic. We don't call it chakras, we just say that these are points of energy in the body. Maybe we can do something together. So I craft a set of charm bags for each point of the body, and I put all of this together also in the book. So I just try to compilate years of practice in there.
Absolutely. Andrea, you're a mute currently, sir.
You need to be muted, right? Always. But I really love the fact that you're describing a flexible living thing that you kind of compiled here. That it's not dead and it's changing. And it's clear, even when you talk about it, you intend for somebody to grab this book and change it, like kind of take it to where the kind of spirits in your area are kind of what's there, or what's more primal to your family, like has primacy to your family, or your family traditions, which everyone in at least North America has way different traditions across Canada and the US. It's crazy different amount of traditions all kind of together. So I really like that. I kind of heard a lot of things that I was like, that's really cool. But so you told us, like, go get 3 ingredients that are similar, but and kind of that anyone could do this, because you don't need a big altar. You could like have just a little table spot or something where you put it together. But how do they actually work? Or what?
One of the things with charm bags or mojo bags or gris bags, how do you prefer to call them, is that you can find them historically in different cultures, in African cultures, in native culture, in North America. They have the spell bags, they have the medicine bags that use the medicine man. You have it in the conjure culture of the Appalachians, that for me is totally something new that I just discovered when I arrived here. Oh, you have something called Appalachians, and you have conjure man and all of this folklore that you have that is very similar to us. And you can put just everything that you have around, because it's trying to put together your own magic. I mean, I give you in the book all the herbs that I often use, the crystals, the minerals, but the idea is not telling you go to buy all of this in the market. You can go to the market and buy just 1 or 2 of these and complement that with something that you have in your kitchen. Pepper, black pepper, white pepper, salt, anything that you have in your kitchen that you can also use in your magic. If you don't have the money in this moment, try to put all of these things together. Just be patient with yourself. You don't need to buy everything, because most of these books that we have in modern witchcraft culture, every spell asks you to have like 20, 30 different ingredients. And witchcraft is not something that usually people with money look to have. Most of the people who come to witchcraft is people who actually don't have much money. So when you ask to them, oh, you need to have all of these ingredients for your practice, and you need to wait for this specific day of the week at this specific hour, many people work. Many people have different schedules. Probably they can do that in that moment.
It's kind of interesting, because basically, like, I learned conjure from people in Chicago, and they would say the same exact thing. Like, you got to use what you got. Exactly what you're saying. Which is different, because people have some impressions, and you're getting right. Like they have some impressions. If you read modern witchcraft books, you need like 30 different ingredients. But like I was always taught, like, yeah, everything probably you can get at the grocery store,
Yeah.
and at the local market, you could just get what you need in a pinch to make
Exactly.
the conjure mojo bags. Like, and you shouldn't even work with ingredients that you don't understand. Like, as in, like, and you kind of did that in the intro, the long, great intro. Great, thanks for that. Of the book, you kind of were talking about that. Yeah, you really can't just work with the herb. You have to know the herb and get to know the herb. And you're kind of talking about the spirit of a sage, saying, that's not right for me in this area of New York. I shouldn't work with it here. Which is talking about getting to know each individual ingredient. Like, it doesn't have to be. It's not just that you could go buy 20 ingredients, expensive ingredients, but it almost sounded like, because we make mojo bags here ourselves, right? Or from a conjure point of view, like you'd say exactly. It sounded like you'd agree with the idea that you have to actually know the ingredients. So the ones closer to you are better. The ingredients closer to your heart are better than the ones necessarily in the formula.
Yeah, for example, I know that when I start reading books in English, I start looking, what people say about Venezuela, what people say about Amazonas, because I come from there. So I want to see which is the made up in there. And some books are very good, some not too much. And you find things like, for example, we have the Afro-Caribbean traditions. Afro-Caribbean traditions like Lukumi, Candomblé, Yoruba are very well known here in the United States, but people forget that they come from a very big influence from South America, specifically from Brazil, where they practically take the form that they actually have right now. And here the traditions look very different, which is interesting when the tradition comes from there. And sometimes I am sit down at a table with other people who practice Santeria or Lukumi, and they are like, you are doing that wrong. And I'm like, well, I was initiated in there, but actually born the tradition, but I don't go to discuss that with you because I try to don't discuss with people. And you find interesting things like, for example, certain orishas are related with certain colors. And every ritual specifically says, for example, you go to work with this orisha, you need to have blue candles, red candles, yellow candles, and that's okay because it's the color of the orisha. You can do it, but it's important to remember that that is part of the modernity because the orishas come from Africa. The whole Lukumi, Candomblé, Yoruba, Palomayombe, Umbanda, Kimbanda traditions from Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, and from around of Amazonas and the Orinoco River, they are the result of these slaves from Africa who were bring to the Caribbean. When they were together in there, they create all of these traditions, finding certain things in common. Okay, you are a native person from your land, you are carried here, I am a native person from here, we have different languages, we have different cultures, but we both have a common enemy, we both are slaves, and we have certain similarities in our beliefs. We believe in gods, in goddesses, in orishas, in spirits, and all of these kind of things. They put all of this together, and they are starting to create traditions. They perform the new initiatory system, which is very different to the Yoruba initiatory system in Dahomey in Africa. They don't use yellow candles because yellow candles don't exist in that moment. We are talking about 200, 300 years ago. Red candles, blue candles, yellow candles are something of modernity. If you can use red candles because you have the money, the access to do it, that's perfectly well. But if you just can buy white candles, you can use it. And the orisha will say thank you anyway for the attention. It's not like, if the candle is not red, I need to cry. No, you don't need to do that because the original candles were white. It's like when you read these books about witches of Salem or witches of New Orleans, and you go very back in the history, they were performing this kind of edge witchery with just certain simple elements that they can find in the woods, and they made their own candles in home. And everything witchy was very hidden because you can have a big altar in that moment in your home, right? And now we have this setup like if you don't look like an Instagram witch, you are not a witch. But that is not the truth. You don't need to be an Instagram to be a witch because these are totally separate things. But it's part of the modernity and the perspective that we set up for people, and people feel like, I need to have all of these to be a witch. I need to buy the books. I need to take the classes. I need to buy everything. I need to have the altar. I need to be on Instagram. I need to be part of the discussion. If not, I'm not a witch. And it's important to remember that witchcraft is not about all of these discussions. Actually, most of the witches are actually just doing witchcraft, not discussing what other people are doing, not set up in a forum all day. Oh, you are a witch. I am better witch than you. I have more experience than you, and that kind of discussions.
Now, I mean, obviously, we own a store, so we do want people to come to the classes, right? But I totally agree with you. What makes you a witch is the fact you do witchcraft. Like that's it. And I appreciate the kind of history that you gave back, because I think people forget that a lot of the traditions are only a couple hundred years old, because they came from the slave trade, and then they're a syncretic combination. Me, myself, being initiated to Haitian voodoo, it's completely a syncretic tradition of the Dahomey and like the island native indigenous, and then it's also like a combination of a syncretic nature with Catholicism, like on top of that. So you're right. Like, and I think we've said exactly the same things about candle magic, which we've said over and over and over again. Original candle magic is lard. They don't have colored candles before 1950. Nobody really had colored candles except for nobility, because it wasn't there was no industrial candle supply to go to Target and get 7 different colors of candles just like that, or go to an occult store. It didn't exist. You had a lard tub, and that was like in a metal thing that was, you would put some plant wick in and make a candle or make the lamp. Like it's more, all of these ingredients are in some cases very modern ingredients, or like post the 1930s, like ingredients that never existed before that point. I'm sure some nobility could get very colored candled waxes in the Middle Ages.
The dyes there, right? That takes.
The dyes are expensive, yeah. So, like, you're exactly right. Like, especially at the white colas, that's right. Again, that's another industrial production thing. You can't get yellow or these other things before 1930. Like before the after effects of World War I, they don't really exist, right? Until go ahead.
Yes, exactly. You can use it on magic. I mean, I put it in my books. You can use white candles, but if you have access to candles of any other color, this will help you or guide you in the process to channel better your wish. Because if you are wishing for something related with love or with passion or with action, okay, you can use the red candle if you have it. But remember, it's an option. You can just use the white one. If you want to use, for example, in Lukumi traditions, we work with Oshun, it's Orisha, some kind of deity, or what we call easily a goddess related with love and money, and everything with her is yellow and white. And I have seen people like, oh, I can't perform this spell right now because I don't have yellow candles. Actually, you can perform the spell even without the candles. The candles, have a meaning, is meaningful, is powerful, is some kind of sacredness in there. The symbolism of the light. That is something that you can see from both sides of the world. Living can see the light, and the dead can see the light. Whatever you put the candle, is a whole power in there. But if you don't have it, whatever you can offer to the Orisha in change for a favor, some flower, something that you put in the river for her, she will receive it anyway. You don't need to make a big thing. Just go back to what is essential, what is the truth. It's like when you give a gift to someone. It's the same with the Orishas and with the goddess and with the deities. They are not expecting a big thing. They are not expecting a card. They are expecting that you give them the time, the dedication. They are expecting that, like in a relationship that you can have with your partner, with your wife, in the same way, Orishas and gods are just expecting you give them communication, respect, space, but also dedication, that you are present, that you are not all day just calling them just to ask for favors, but that you work with them every day, that you wake up in the morning and without any intention to ask for anything, thank you, Orisha, Guardian Spirit, Guardian Angel, whatever name you put in there, thank you for this day, and you just go to work. And maybe in 3-4 days, if you need something, maybe you can ask for something, but don't turn this in a church that you just go for ask for things.
Well, I think you're getting to a beautiful point, right? If you just meet a friend now, right?
Yeah.
The first idea we have in meeting a new physical person is not to ask them for money.
Yeah.
Or not to ask them for something. Like, you got to get to know them and become friends with them before you'd feel comfortable asking a new friend for money. And I think that's what you're getting at with the Orisha, like, you know, or the Loa, or whatever spirit you're working with. You kind of got to be friends, right? And then say, oh yeah, I'm down on my luck, friend. Can you help me? You know, but after developing that relationship and kind of honoring them for a while, they're like, yeah, we can help you. You're our friend, right? Like, as opposed to the vending machine aspect of kind of spirituality, that you're sort of implying a criticism where you put offerings in and ask right away, and then you get something out, and it never seems to work that way because you're not their friend, or you haven't expressed the love in your heart to kind of to ask. And that seems to be what you're kind of talking about. Like, you have to have the love in your heart, you know, to actually start asking for things.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Loas. The Loas represent different kind of characters of this history, very related with slavery. It's a very sad, deep history that we have related with the Loas, and with everything related with hoodoo and with voodoo. And you can just take them for granted, like, oh, you're a Loa because I give you candles, you need to give me something. No, they don't have any responsibility with you. They come from a very difficult past. They carry with the baggage of their own life. They have a very difficult past, a very difficult life. They are now looking for people, like trying to have the family that they can carry now, that they could have when they were alive. So don't give them for granted. Just try to work with them, try to create a relationship. When you have a new neighbor, the first thing that you do is not go to knock the door. Oh, give me something, because the neighbor will be like, who are you? With the Loas, it's exactly the same. I remember the Loas because after every possible earthquake in Haiti, we have a lot of Asian community in Venezuela, and they in some way enrich a lot of culture. And they talk about a lot about the Loas. And when you have the opportunity to work and learn with this kind of people who come from certain levels of struggle situations, different than yours, that even like me, people who avoid, who travel from their own country to start from zero in another place, you can't relate with them, because I remember how these people can just arrive in a place with a suitcase and they can start from zero again, because they have faith that their Loas and their spirits will be with them all the steps, all the way. Because just like them, the Loas and other spirits before them come from Africa, and many times against their will, but they start from zero, just believing in their ancestors. And just like, okay, I just remember how to do these 3 offerings, these 2 rituals, this 1 spell. I'm going to do all of this for my tradition, and in that way, every time that I perform a spell, I am connecting at the same way with all my ancestors, wherever they are in the planet, in another continent, beyond the sea, and these kind of things.
So coming back full circle to mojo bags, right?
Got it.
So we put the ingredients in the mojo bag, and how do you perceive them as working? Is it just the natural energy kind of emanates out? Is it that it attracts the right spirits? How do you conceive that the mojo bags work?
Okay, for example, I want to do a mojo bag for money. I will take care a list of the ingredients that I believe in my tradition or in my country or in my culture are related with money, because in every country is something different. For example, in Venezuela, we have a certain problem with books of magic, that most of the books come from very bad translations from English books. Most of the English books of magic says that everything green is related with money, because it's green, the bill of the dollar, the $20 bill, and blah, 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 blah. In Venezuela, the green bill is actually the minor price bill that we have. Our most pricey bill is pink. So, for example, one of the things that you need to carry in money magic in Venezuela is not green, it's pink, if you want something related with money, with abundance, with manifestation. So you bring elements related with your culture. Oh, in my country, the biggest bill that we have is blue. Let me use a charm bag with a blue panel. Let me put some elements in there with different airs related with the money in my country. Or, for example, if I come from an Asian tradition, I can use these Chinese coins that are like golden, that you can find in the Buddhist temple in New York. Or if I come from you're American, I can use rosemary because we have certain quotes that I hope that you are so abundant like the rosemary, because rosemary have a lot of pins in every wheel, right? So you take something that for you or for your country, for your family related with money, you can put some coins of your own country, you can put an old bill that you have in there, you put all of this together, a little bit of honey because represents sweetness, represents something that is like sticky, that you're trying to keep everything very close to you, and we are talking about being sticky with the money, want the money being close to me. You put all of this in the flannel, you close the charm bag, and you can activate the energy of the charm bag however you prefer. In the book, I give two methods that are the two methods that I follow. A small one, which is a very small circle that you do very fast in like half hour, and a big one, if like me, that now you have like years of practice, you have a lot of ingredients around, so you can take the time to do it like bigger. But wherever prefers works better for you. I believe that candles are very useful in magic, because if like when you are making a soup or anything in your kitchen, you need to put some fire. If not, you just have a lot of ingredients in the cauldron just in there. In the moment that you put the water and the fire, everything is cooking and everything is blending. And that's what you are trying to do with the chamber. You are trying to activate and blend all of this energy together, whatever they are, airs or flowers. You are trying to put to fusionate in some way these ingredients, like you do in a soup or in a salad. So you put some elements depending on your tradition. If you come from a Wiccan background, you can put the four elements for your representation. If you come from an Afro-Caribbean background, you can put this in your altar with some glasses of water, or put it in your mesa blanca if you come from the spiritualist tradition. And you just activate how you activate any other spell in your tradition. If you don't come from a very specific magical tradition, if you have like inexperience on this area, you can just light some incense, a candle, and put the charm bag in the middle, and just visualize your wish in the candle, in the charm bag. Waits like 2 hours, and after that, let the charm bag in the altar, just carrying the energy that you are creating in the place. And after that, depending on the kind of magic that you are conjuring with the charm bag, you can decide for yourself. I want to carry the charm bag with myself, in my pocket, in my wallet, in my bag, or if something related with protection for my home, let me better keep the charm bag in my home. Is this because I'm having nightmares? Maybe it's smarter to keep the charm bag under my bed. Is this charm bag because I'm carrying problems with my finances, problems with money, I can't pay for my next rent? Let me put the charm bag in the middle of the table where we dinner every night to represent abundance. So we can put all the food together, the wine together, and share the abundance of home. So this will bring more abundance to us. And you can use this kind of methods, just trying to be not intuitive, but smart. It's like when you are work. It's not work hard, it's work smarter. So do the same with the charm. It's not put a lot of stuff, it's just trying to be smarter. How I can represent my wish on this. If I want, for example, a charm bag for love, I can create with a red or pink flannel, put some dried roses in there, put some flowers in there, put some tulips in there, just tie the charm bag, keep it in a close, like for example, in your bed, if you are trying to bring a lover, or very close to your front door, if you are trying to bring a very long time relationship that you can bring to your family, someone that you want to bring to your home, not just to your bed.
Right.
So one interesting point that you raised that I just love is about the money, because I'm originally from the United States, and I've had to change a lot of my money magic because Canadian money is not green.
$100 be brown.
You're
maple
right. The best.
syrup.
It looks like maple syrup. The highest dollar bill looks like maple syrup. Yeah, and the second highest is red. So it's like green is like low on the totem scale of money bills to bring in.
It's a 20. It's still good, but not as good as a 50 or
not as good as the others, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's not like if you're trying to attract the money, green isn't always the right answer. If you're in a country that's money's not green.
Exactly.
Red candles. Right?
Yeah, red candles. Yeah, exactly. Like in Chinese culture, which Zach's part of, there's this tradition of red envelopes that people stuff the envelopes full of money to give to people as gifts or as payment. So they'll tend to overpay if the service has extra value. And so red is potentially red and gold, which is, if people are wondering, why are logos red and gold for our store? There you go. It's because of the red envelope and the gold tradition of the coins that you're talking about, where in Chinese culture, the coins are gold, and that's money. And then red is that you stuff it with money and give it to people who do a good job, or teachers you value. So you're absolutely right. When you're trying to reach out to the money of the area, like that, you need to reach out to the money of the area. Even the book says green. It's not the color of money in most countries.
Exactly. Yes, books are representation of the author, and many times people forget that every author has a different mindset, a different background, and grow up or learn in different schools. Some authors have teachers, some authors just take classes and courses. I always say, and this make mad a lot of authors and colleagues out there, I always say that owner stores have more knowledge than authors, because an author has 6 or 9 months writing a book and putting out, but the person owning the store is every day practicing magic, selling stuff, giving advice to other people. So in the end, these people knows much more. But the author is always who carry all the fame, because it's the author. And
right. I think me and Zach are both authors and owners of a store, so we
a little bit of both.
A little bit of both there. So
it's more.
You're right.
It's more interesting when you sit down with an owner store to talk about magic with any author, because the owner store not just knows from where comes each ingredient for real and how to use it, and which is exactly selling in the store and which is the energy around. They know for what reason people is coming to look for magic. The authors talkings are usually very boring, because it's just everybody talking about who endorsed your book, how was the process. I'm practicing witchcraft from the British perspective. I am more Wiccan. I have this background. From where is your background? Who was your teacher? It's everything like more technicality. In the end, I just feel bored and like I don't really learn anything in the conversation. With owner story, it's always a story. Oh, I have this client that I was trying this spell and this works, so this client come back and I did this in this other way and that really works. And you are like, okay, I learned now.
Well, that's like as having. Well, I'm going to probably write more books, but as a store owner, we have to have solutions now. Like people want solutions now. Like we have to be like, maybe in a couple hours. If it's like difficult when we hear their case, it might be like, okay, let us think about this for a little. But this is a water city to start with, so like a lot of the book solutions look like not water solutions. They're like, if a person's writing from like the desert, it's like. Doesn't even touch doesn't touch anything in Toronto, which is basically should be underwater. Like the city is basically, most of the city should be under.
Well, it's on a marshland, right?
Yeah, it should be marsh, even though it got drained. So the types of magic you have to do like are water magic. So like you have to, and you're right, like the adaptation of any sort of conjure or any sort of stuff, like what we do in the store is probably way different than necessarily exactly what the books recommend all the time, because we're like, well, you have to sort of build a flow in the city. Otherwise, if you don't build a flow, you're working against water, and if you work against water because we're marsh, you're not going to get anywhere. Like you can't just be a light. You have to have a light plus some herbs and ingredients to kind of start a flow of some sort.
Yes, you need to adapt to the place. You need to adapt to the place and find some magic in there. For example, in Spiritismo, one of the ways of protection for people is when they do the divination and they know who is when someone curses you and the curse or the hex is in some way that they send they add soul to you. I don't know how to translate that to English, sorry. They take someone from the cemetery and they send this spirit to you, you are carrying this death. One of the ways of protection is if you know who is the spirit against you or persecuting you, you go to the cemetery and you take some dust from the tomb and you put in a charm bag, in a black charm bag. Then you put some black pepper and salt in there and you keep it with you. So every time that the spirit comes close to you, they will feel like rejected, because they have this sensation like when you eat pepper or salt that you feel like this is too much salty. They feel like rejected in some way. It's a very small, simple, minimalist way to protect yourself. It's not the most effective, but helps you to buy some time while you find something else to do with a brujo or someone more professional, a witch who have more experience than you. So that is like the first thing that you do. Oh, this is the spirit who is bothering me, so let me do this first before I have the money to go with a witch who can actually do the whole work for me. You relate with the place and you try to represent the magic, you try to represent the spirit, and you try to represent the things that you are trying to carry the energy. If you want the spirit to stay away, you put some salt and pepper. If you want the spirit to come closer, you put sugar, honey, cinnamon, that kind of thing.
Right, and if you have some skills, like if someone's throwing a curse at you, you might be able to convert the spirit they send to your favor.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know, like if you can handle the first sort of like it's around you and not get too affected, you might be able to.
Yeah, things. Usually that works because most of the times any spirits want to be sent like a toy to bother someone else. So when they find that someone have like the connection, like, oh, you can help me with this, or we can have a common enemy and we can work together. So
yeah, I feel like you don't often know the spirit that's being sent, and if you do, that's the best case. Then you can do what you're saying with the cemetery right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, if you know it's a dead thing, you can, and you have some other protective spirits. It's pretty easy to use the second method you're talking about with sugar and honey to be like, have some food, have some honey. Why don't you come over to my side? I'll treat you better.
Yes, something that you can do is simply put a very nice plate of food in the door, like saying welcoming. So when the spirit comes to bother you, they feel like, okay, I come to bother you, to disturb you, to don't let you sleep, to don't let you work, don't let you do anything, and you are giving me food. Yes, because I'm treating you better than the person who sent you, because I respect you, and I know that they are treating you like some kind of slave, and you are not. You are a spirit, so you are welcome here. And if you want to protect me, we can negotiate. And after 2-3 times, they just start protecting you, even if without you asking for.
Yeah, really. I mean, honestly, like unless they dug up a real sociopathic spirit, that's probably going to work in most cases. I mean, yes, there probably are some really sociopathic spirits that might not work, but I don't think so. For the most part, even they would be like,
the majority.
I get food and warmth.
Yeah.
And I was trying to bother this person.
I can actually have a conversation. Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, because send a spirit to someone else is like you are literally sleeping and they just wake you up in the morning, go to bother this person, and you go, oh, let me go to bother this person. You don't know why, but you are doing it. And when you arrive in the house of this person is taking care of you, you feel like, okay, this one is the bad person, not you.
This is stuff you get from store owners. This is the kind of stuff we do all the time, actually. Like,
yeah, I can imagine.
EQ right here. Spiritual EQ.
We've gotten to the point. We're also an acupuncture clinic, but we had to get to the point with the amount of dead attachments people actually have that we have an ancestor altar in the hall, so we could put them out there and tell them, well, we'll give you some food and energy if you leave the person we're trying to heal. In acupuncture, it's right here. There's food comes out there like every week, and energy. Just leave them and go here, so we can properly deal with you, because like they're negatively affecting their health, and we had to do that because this is again a water city, and there's that much dead in the water. Like there's that many dead who just not cared for, and they would bother Zach in treatment, and now Zach just goes, we have an altar outside. You could just go to the public shrine, you know, where all the dead hang out, and there's all these different cultures of
Lords of the
death deities out there. So one of those can help you, and then people always come and like pray to the ancestors and give offerings collectively for everything here. So yeah, go out there. It makes Zach's treatments a lot easier usually.
No, it makes it a hell lot easier. And I mean, we have people from the community coming up here pretty often just to meditate in front of that altar, and every time they open up that consecrated mirror, people get those effects. Like I even did that earlier when I was showing.
And I think that's
wow.
And that's kind of exactly what you were talking about, like integrating the area to what you're doing, not necessarily big stuff, but smaller stuff that necessarily has a big impact over time.
Yes, the thing is, first of all, American people in general see much TV, and I understand why they have too many options. In my country, we don't have so many options. We don't have so many TVs also in a home. So if we feel distracted in another different way because we don't have that kind of money. So people here see that kind of witchcraft representation in TV, and they think that everything in reality is like that. That every time that you go to do a spell, you need to have the circle, the pentagram, all 1,000 candles around, and a lot of incense. Everything needs to be very smoky. You need to have the whole library with a lot of stuff just to practice any kind of a spell. And at the end of the day, you don't need to do that. Actually, in Spiritism, we say that the best brujas, the best indigenous witches are those who just work with a candle and a glass of water. And that's like the most powerful witch around. They don't need anything else, because after you master all the other elements, you can just work with these two, because you have a better understanding of all the properties that you have in a glass of water and just in a candle next to you. You can do thousands of things with just one candle. You can do thousands of things with just one glass of water. In Latin American culture, you can speed people to curse them, but also you can use the water to bless them, to protect them, to do healing. You can bless the water and throw the water around them. So they heal. You can throw the water around home to protect against a bad spirit. For example, something that people do in Santeria is that they take this coconut in the morning, they put some water in there, water from the kitchen, not need to be any very elaborated, organic, mystical, holy moon water, just water from the kitchen. They put in the half coconut, like a bowl, and they throw in every morning outside of the door. You just put in the front door, just put a little of this water, and that is a very nice protection that you are refreshing the place, and you are saying to any bad spirit, stay away of this home. And you, after that, complete the rest of your day. You do whatever you want, but your home is protected. And it's just water and half coconut. You don't need even buy a bowl. You just take a coconut, you just coat it, and you just use it for that.
Nice. That goes right to like how obi is made too, and how I was taught obi was made with the coconut. So yeah, goes right back to the obi story too, from that. So one of the things, it's almost 6:50. So we're already dropped by an hour right from there. So do you have events coming up in New York or anywhere that you want to communicate to everyone?
I have an event coming up in ending May. It's in May 20, May 21. It's All Sorcery Hour. It's a small virtual event that we try to make accessible for everybody. We have the concept of sorcery, because sorcery is like have less noise around the word witchcraft that is related with so many things, and it's not umbrella. So we create together a small group of people. Okay, we want to create a small event that is virtual, because we are grateful that now live events are coming again. But some people like me continue feeling more comfortable at home. I don't feel comfortable out there with people masked, because I actually lost my grandma for COVID, so I feel a bit traumatized for the situation. So I try to stay at home. We create a nice event. It's 8 presenters, very diverse, Black people, people of color, LGBTQ, and we have presenters from different places, from New Orleans, from Salem, from New York, from Texas, from United Kingdom, from Latvia. And each one will be offering a class, almost 1 hour of class of a different topic, and we make it accessible for everybody. It's just $40 for the whole event. It's a workshops, meet and greet, it's everything for just $14, because we try to make something accessible for everybody. Even if we don't receive a lot of money back, the idea is, okay, we can just have a weekend of magic that the conversation will go out about money, how much money we are doing. We just put basically the price to carry for all the stuff, the art, the design, the advertising, the website, That is happening in May 2021. I have another book coming out in December 8th, and nothing else.
So we would personally love to have you come back in December once you got that book.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
If you'd like to come back, or
Yes.
after COVID, which we know is still a problem, even though some people don't. If in the future it's not as much of a problem, we'd love to actually have you up in our store in Toronto,
Yes.
and kind of run some stuff. So we'd love to have you back.
I would love to.
So now, what do we have going on, Zach? Besides the figurine candle workshop tomorrow at 6 p.m. if you're a sponsor. By the way, sponsors, you keep the lights on. Thank you very much. You keep the show going. Keep the lights on. We appreciate you. We really do.
So if people want to become sponsors, they can go to QueenCityCurio.ca/pages/become a member. At that point, you'll see a lot of different options we have. One being the $10 membership, gives you one live event. Plus, you can check out our library and take some books out to read.
By check out our library, we have a book library of 1,000 occult books, 1,500 actually now, and you can actually physically check them out like a real library. So, and actually, if you're not a sponsor, you can still come here and read anything we have if we're here.
On the shelves.
So there you go. That's
shelves.
right. And if you not a sponsor, you can still come to the Ancestor Altar we talked about in the show and do what you need to do there. Which a lot
they
of
also
people
got the Buddhist altar. They also got the Shinto altar. So we got options.
The Shinto altar's having a little trouble right now because we can't get. I got to go to Michigan to get the shrine that was built. But when I could go to Michigan, which is going to be soon, we'll have the Shinto altar up for a wish shrine. But the Buddhist altar, we've got the Sun Buddha right now. We're going to do the Medicine Buddha next weekend, right?
That's next weekend. Yep,
right.
On the
So
Sunday, 1:30.
we will be making a talisman, that ritual, to go on a public altar that anyone can access and they can kind of communicate with, even if they're having problems. You just come up here, go to the altar, and pray. And we have QR codes that actually tell you how to exactly pray. Like you just flash your phone at it, and it's like, okay, here's the mantra that we like, we prefer. Here's what the mantra means. Here's how to do the mantra work, and just focus on the sit on the bench and focus. So all that's we don't charge for any of that. Actually,
we don't.
It's just there.
That's for the community.
You gotta have a Buddhist altar. You gotta have a Buddhist altar in East Chinatown. What kind of East Chinatown?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we got our Taoist spirits up here too. So
right, yeah. And so after the figurine thing, next week we already talked about it. Medicine Buddha ritual, physical healing ritual, where if you're a sponsor or if you want to buy in just for that ritual, you can kind of do that. Although it's a much better deal if you're a sponsor.
Oh, much better. You get a lot.
So if you're a chin sponsor at $39, you just can, and we have it so that way
they get 3.5 years of recorded content.
Right.
And we've run something every weekend, so that's a lot of content and rituals.
Exactly. And the Medicine Buddha ritual is, I can tell you, Zach's going to run that ritual. It's going to be pretty good physical healing ritual. He's sort of a patron of our store, actually. If you go outside by the elevator, like we've got flyers, not flyers, but they're like flags across the ceiling with the Medicine Buddha, as in like we're ultimately a wellness healing place. Like, so this is sort of our Buddhist.
It's kind of our thing. Plus,
patron,
we do
right?
Reiki. We do Reiki. Right. We do Buddhist styles of acupuncture. So,
but it's sort of, it'll be really good, and that'll be at 1:30 next Sunday.
Yes,
and
it's
then,
actually a double up on that Sunday, because we are switching to UK times also for listeners. So we will be 4 p.m. on the Sunday, and then we'll be having our returning guest of Jason Reed with his new book about the Luban, which is a Chinese grimoire of esoteric feng shui and magic. So that'll be at 4 p.m. right after their ritual. Actually,
There
a
you
little bit
go.
of a break, too.
And then what do we have afterwards? After the
So
medicine
in terms of events, we're still making events after that. So we're going to be announcing new events.
That means Andrieh has to get off his butt and like plan out all the events for the next couple months. I got it.
But we do have them.
We do have the events in July. We'll be summoning the Goetia and Semaphore once per every 2 weeks with a workbook for each and every single spirit of the Goetia and Semaphore together, and how to work with them. That I will be writing with cliff notes. That basically you'll get. And every 2 weeks, we're going to do a real summoning in store that everyone can connect to, either online or in person, to go through all 72 angels and all 72 demons together at the same kind of parallel tracks, one after each other, to actually just because we think it's going to be good. And we want to kind of
good friend Stephanie Colony on that one too.
Is going to help us, do several of that. Although she's not going to do the Semaphore. Probably I am.
Yes, or we'll pair off, whatever. Right?
Or whatever, right? So, like, actually, real magic happening here. If you want to get exposed to some rituals like that, and exposed to that, become a sponsor. Like I said, it's not everywhere you could just go and experience the magic and then take it home, and then like your whole personal progress in magic, when you're just around people who do magic all the time, you'll just be able to jumpstart your practice by just coming to rituals and seeing how people put them together. Actual people who are serious about magic, and we're magicians first, authors second, no, store owners second, and then probably authors third. Like Zach's a magician first, and a acupuncturist second, and then a store owner third, and an author fourth probably. So
yes, it's that order.
It's that order. So there's like, we're magicians first. So if you come here, you're always gonna like, even like Sundays, we joke about it on Sundays, like after the ritual, as our Reiki people have found out, like they just hang around. Shit goes down, like, because we gotta make stuff for the store. So like,
well, we grab a few ingredients, just like Elhoim was talking about, and we start mixing them, and
we start going to town, right? Like, because we're like, oh, okay, well, we need to make this oil, and bless it. And they're like, they happen to be here. You happen to be here. We don't stop because you're here, right? We don't stop to say, oh, this is a secret that you have to pay to see. We're just like, we got to do what we got to do to keep the store running. So we're going to go make some oils, or we're going to go mix this incense right now. And if you happen to be here when it happens to do, which we happen to do most Sundays, you see it. And that's how it is with the sponsors. Like, if you just come by, we're going to be like, well, we got to work on this. Right. Or somebody will be like a sponsor, and they'll give us the money to do a floor wash. And we'll be like, well, you're a sponsor, you're here. We got to do what we got to do to make this floor wash, but we don't kick people out, which is, again, that's how our community works.
That's our community.
Like, okay, you can see it. You can see it, fine, whatever, take notes and send us the notes back, so we can go run a class or something on it. But yeah, so become a sponsor. That's the point. Even if you're not in Toronto, all of our stuff is online. Yeah, and all of the stuff's online. And then lots of people who are sponsors not in Toronto are actually communicating with us to actually try to arrange trips. So, which we're always we're willing to do stuff. Like, we know a whole bunch of people coming at once. We'll make stuff happen to make it interesting for sponsors. So become a sponsor, support the community.
Get access to this book in our library now.
Right. It's in our library. If you want to check it out, you thought the conversation was good, come check it out. Although I'll be checking it out tonight.
Crafting and charm bag. So we have this, and we also have his other book. I think it's the Manifesting Magic book. It's called
Manifestation Magic. Yeah.
He was kind enough to give us both books, so we got both.
And they're both here in the library. Where can you go in Toronto and be like, I would like to go check out some author's book? Here we are. Like, just
Here we are.
come check out the book, and then like just sit. And I mean, within the next couple months, we will be offering teas again. We're feeling a little better about COVID.
That we are. I miss the teas. I totally miss giving the teas, man.
Right. We'll have a mini tea shop set up that you can get
Maybe
some
a mini
teas.
coffee shop too.
Yeah, there will be. I like coffee too much. But a mini tea shop, a little mini coffee shop, so that like if we're not running active treatments, we have couches and chairs. You could just sit here, buy a coffee or some good tea, and just and chillax and kind of you can read Elohim's book right here
Absolutely.
with some chillax coffee.
So with that said, everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next Sunday at 4 p.m.
Indeed. Thank you for coming on again, Aline. Stay on for a second so we can make sure that this Melon app works properly.
All right.
Okay.
I'm still live and recording.
Yep, same.